Well, you may be heading to the beach this weekend, but listen to what happened at the beach today for Jacksonville Beach goers. They were greeted by an unusual sight. The Grim Reaper walking around complete with a black robe and his signature curved blade. On Your Side's Haley Harrison spoke to the man behind the costume, a Florida attorney, about why he's making a Grim Reaper tour to beaches across the state.
The Grim Reaper, a bleak symbol on a sunny Jacksonville Beach day Friday, which was Daniel Uhlfelder's point.
I've done everything I possibly can.
The attorney from Santa Rosa Beach believes having the beaches open during the pandemic invites tourists to the state and therefore promotes the spread of COVID-19.
I started a social media campaign back in March. I sued Governor DeSantis to close the beaches and do a stay-at-home order.
Then Uhlfelder, a Democrat, started his tour 3 months ago, traveling from the Panhandle to the beaches all over South Florida in his rather morbid costume, hoping to get Floridians to take the virus seriously. Uhlfelder added Jacksonville to his list of stops back in May, but he says it's fitting he's here now. Since Jacksonville Beach was the first to open its beaches back up in Phase 1, and thousands will be in Jacksonville for the Republican National Convention next month.
One of the best things about our country is that we can talk together and talk about issues and disagree.
What's it like here?
Uhlfelder says his morning stroll near the Jacksonville Beach Pier led to just that. Good, open discussions about the virus. But there were other beachgoers who didn't agree with his grim message. One man protesting against him with an American flag.
You have a right to be out here. You coward. Pick it up.
Another caught on video verbally attacking Uhlfelder before being led away by a police officer.
I talked to some young millennials, I guess, who in their 20s who wanted to talk about, why I was doing this and why they may disagree with certain parts of it. But, and then there's some detractors that screaming at me, threatening me, but they don't bother me.
Uhlfelder says he doesn't necessarily like dressing up as the Grim Reaper in Florida's summer heat, but will continue his tour as coronavirus cases rise in the state. In Jacksonville Beach, Haley Harrison, First Coast News, on your side.